Hello everyone, my name is Fazal, Faculty of Sociology at AKS IAS Hyderabad. In this session, we are going to discuss about the Sociology Strategy Program, where the aspirants who are going to write the mains examination for this year probably, that will be helpful for them. And in this session, we are going to discuss about both the paper 1 as well as the paper 2, so that what is the relevance of current affairs in the paper 2 and what is the most important topics that we have to concentrate on paper 2 and also on paper 1. So we all know like the trend of sociology and the scores of sociology are always high. So let us maintain this trend, and most of the candidates who are going to write with sociology and optional, I wish them a good luck. And let us take this session in a very productive manner where the aspirants can actually learn what the most important factors which are useful for you to at the edge. They can give you some better benefits. So I'll not take you to the syllabus or the discussion of the syllabus. Rather, we will directly get into the conceptual part and what is so important in paper 1 and paper 2. And most important topics which you have to go through in the paper 1, it itself is the first chapter where most of the questions have been asked. I mean, like the topics which are covered in the first chapter. The chapter number 1, evolution of the sociology, where every year there is a question. I mean, like the question is about modernity, social changes, and the role of the monarch, that is the church role. All right, and most important, the scope of sociology. So these are the 4 important topics which are expected from you to go through in chapter number 1, scope of sociology, and that too you have to read very important topics like meta-narratives and neo-Marxist, and in the scope you have to read about what is called as blending. So that comes in the post second phase of the scope of the sociology. All right, and most important topics other than these will be the common sense part, that is sociology and common sense. This is the question which has been repeatedly asked in the examination. So sociology and common sense is very important topic, and try to give very basic examples in the common sense and try to fill up with the little bit case studies. Common sense, what sociology and what sociology, how it is larger than the common sense part. Make use of very basic examples in the part of common sense. You can make use of the issues which are there in the universities raised by the students, okay, and what is that sociology of that protest, okay, and what common sense is saying. And second important, you can also take the case of the environmental issues which have been raised, okay, and recently, I mean, like the guidelines given by the Supreme Court, okay, on sterilization of the street dogs, okay, is it common sense, or apply sociology on the common sense. You can also apply common sense and sociology on surrogacy concept, child labor concept, okay. So try to come up with the more case studies in this topic, where most of the time is sociology a common sense, or sociology is broader than common sense. This is the favorite question of UPSC, which is alternative. And second, the evolution of sociology has seen some abrupt changes, and the evolution of sociology itself is not in a day, and sociology is a cumulative of all the subjects and differences of sociology. I mean, like comparison of the subject of sociology, we compare it with anthropology, compare it with political science, compare it with economy, compare it with history, okay. So rootless and fruitless, this is one very important term given by UPSC, comparing it with history, okay. So rootless and fruitless. So try to make sure that you read these topics. First important topic in this will be modernity, enlightenment, okay, ushering of new era. These are the 3 important topics which you have to go through. And the next second important topics will be scope. So in the scope part, please read about meta-narratives. So meta-narratives play a very, very important role. And post meta-narratives, please go to the common sense part, and in the common sense part, read what is the difference between the sociology and common sense first. and is sociology broader than the common sense? So remaining topics like sociology as a science or religion and science, family, okay, family or social stratification, okay, technology and social changes, okay, power, politics, okay, and also like methodologies, functional methodologies, all right. So in such cases, so most of them are like factual concepts are there, like 2 to 3 chapters, like second chapter, third chapter, like most of them are like with related to the factual concepts are there. What is a hypothesis? Okay, such kind of questions are always being given, and I suggest you to first go through the previous year's question papers, taking the previous year's reference only. I suggest you to prepare in these days. That will be much helpful for you, and you will be on track. Else you'll just put your content in front of you, and if you keep reading those contents, I don't think so that you will land safely. Okay, and most important is like the chapter number 4, which is the sociological thinkers. Very important topic is GH Mead. So guys, please make a proper revision of GH Mead. So the concept of GH Mead is talking about the development of the self. So he talks about what is self, he talks about what is self and how self is being developed, okay, and what is I according to GH Mead, and what is me, all right. So also what is symbolic interactionism, what is the meaning of symbolic interactionism in the case of GH Mead. So this is the most important questions as part of GH Mead. And also whenever you write about the content of the sociological thinkers, make sure that you read the critics. So Emile Durkheim has criticized GH Mead. You can also bring Max Weber with respect to of GH Mead, all right. So behavior, GH Mead talks more about the behavior concept, and behavior concept and all the factors were not considered. So please make sure that you write such kind of points with respect to the GH Mead, okay, and read this concept of self. What is self according to GH Mead, and what is the meaning of symbolic interactionism, okay, and the most important sociological thinker like C.H. Cooley, he has given very important counters to with respect to GH Mead. What people look at the mirror is not like they are looking at themselves, rather they are looking at how the society will look at them. So such kind of terminology, such kind of statements will be given in the exam, all right. And the next very important thinker is Karl Marx. So ensure that you revise the Karl Marx, and the most important topic about the Karl Marx is historical materialism, okay, mode of production. And most important time is like when the communism comes into the picture, when the communism will come into picture, the man will become a total man. The man will become a total man, okay. This is very important theme given by the Karl Marx in his most of these books, and also in the Das Kapital. And other important topics with respect to the Karl Marx will be like when there is a class struggle, which means prior to the class struggle, is it the man worked like a cog, okay, man worked like a cog. So what is the role of haves, what is the role of have-nots, and when there is, Karl Marx also says, apart from this, when there is an end of exploitation, there will not be any revolution that will bring to end of the history, So discuss as per the Karl Marx. So make sure that these things you revise. These are very important things with respect to Karl Marx and GH Mead. And kindly ensure that you write critics of the Karl Marx, GH Mead, etc. And make sure that you try to pick in between the lines. In between the lines is like the statements which have been given by the Karl Marx. Those statements will be, most of the time will be repeated in the exam. Okay, direct the statement what he has given in his most important book, The Revolution, or the Das Kapital, which will be directly picked. And class struggle will be his favorite topic, okay, and or like ancient mode of production or mode of production, or he may also ask the relations, that is the relation man and the things, how is that relation got developed over a period of time. This is what he is going to ask. And he can also ask you Okay, man and the things, are they associated, and how long will they be associated as per the Karl Marx? Okay, so this is about the Karl Marx. You have to revise. Most important thinker is G.H. Mead and Karl Marx. Next important is Max Weber. Probable question to be asked is from Max Weber. So always read about the concept of ideal types. Always read about the concept of ideal types from Max Weber, and make sure that you also read. Make sure that you always read the concept of social action. Once you read the concept of social action, you keep applying the concept of social action and ideal types on bureaucracy, authority. Okay, in such cases you can develop the authority and bureaucracy. And very important is Protestant ethic and the spirit of capitalism. Like not all capitalists were Protestants, and finally we'll conclude that not all Protestants are capitalists. So not all capitalists are Protestants. Okay, but most of the Protestants are capitalists, and most of the capitalists are also Protestants. So it is only because of the ethics which the Protestants will follow, and because of that they have a strong belief in the concept of after life. Okay, after life. So, and this worldly pleasure is not the belief of the Protestants, and they believe in the concept of afterlife, where the social expenditures are quite less, and they try to follow the most important concepts of saving their money, okay, donating when it is required, and remaining the savings can be converted into capitalism or capitalist, or coming up with the capital things. That's the reason the Protestants have grown. But lot of critics are there with respect to the content which has been given by the Max Weber. Especially the criticism has developed from the European countries, stating that in the most of the European countries the Protestants are still very poor. So this is how you counter about the concepts of Max Weber. So most expected question from Max Weber will be ideal type, social action, bureaucracy, and Protestant ethics and spirit of capitalism. And next important thinker will be Emile Durkheim. Okay, read about division of labor. That could be most important topic for the Emile Durkheim. And second, most of the time the questions are asked from religion and society. How religion got developed. See, Emile Durkheim says simple concepts, themes. The most important theme of what Emile Durkheim said is, when the society grows, religion also grows. And when society from simple, religion has become simple. And when society becomes complex, the religion will become complex. So how the growing society has brought a change in the religious aspects. So that is what is the questions be asked from the Emile Durkheim. And when it comes to Robert K. Merton and target person, so read about pattern variables. Okay, read about latent and manifestation. Okay, read about functional indispensability. So functional indispensability, that means any institution which is performing the function which survive the society, else the society will stop forgetting, or will try to recover or remember that institution. That means they will try to eliminate the institution. So every thinker has their own uniqueness. So make sure that you read about the thinker's perspective and apply about the thinker's perspective, and always make sure that you write a proper format in ending your answer with the critics. Make sure that you always write criticism. You always write critics. So ensure that from today on, what are the few days you have, you make sure that you fill up for every topic, make criticism. That is, whenever he give a theme, start developing the answer with the theme. Okay, and the same context you can develop, and is draw thematic presentation. Always draw thematic presentation, and try to present, also write what is about thematic presentation. And finally make your critics. Critics has to be 3 to 4 in number. Ensure that critics, this is a proper template of the format of UPSC for sociology. Okay, so for example, man will become total man only when the communism will come into picture, is been said by Karl Marx. So then how will you write? So when did Karl Marx said this statement? On what basis he said this statement? And draw like ancient mode of production. Then you go for the next very important point of primitive communism, ancient mode of production. Then feudalistic society. Then you go for socialism. Then you go for capitalism. So this is how end of the end of the society. That means the society will become very happy when there is a communism, that all the sources needs will be satisfied. Okay, laissez-faire concept. Such kind of things you can write and present in the thematic way, and finally always criticize. criticize making use of unique thinkers, stating that what Immanuel Durkheim says, okay, what Max Weber says, what Alcott Parsons says, what Ferdinand Tonis says, what D.H. Cooley says, so what feminist counters. So such kind of things you try to develop and making critics, okay, and always mention that to write critics. Critics are very, very important. That will actually give you good score in sociology. Okay, so this is about the concept of the paper 1, and make sure that whenever you start preparing for the paper 2, always make sure that first start with the thinkers, Indian thinkers. First start with the Indian thinkers. So I already told you like how you prepare for the Western thinkers. The same way prepare for the Indian thinkers. Give importance to M.N. Srinivas. Blindly give importance to M.N. Srinivas. M.N. Srinivas, André Bethele, and next one is Louis Dumont. So 3 important thinkers, okay, and most important among them will be M.N. Srinivas. Read about M.N. Srinivas properly, okay. Read about what was his strategy met in the Rampura villages, that are Coorg villages, okay, and what is caste imitations he has explained, okay, what is the purification concept he has explained, okay, what is Sanskritization concept he has explained. And Indian thinkers are quite simple. I mean, like there is Indian thinkers talks about religion, Indian thinkers talks about the family, Indian thinkers talks about stratification, such kind of things you correlate and you try to mug up these things and by heart these things and maintain some template, so that that could actually make you some speedy revision, because hardly you have few hours of time between paper 1 and paper 2. So even it is few hours of time, it is ensure that you have limited content in you and you can actually revise it. Okay, there are lot of current affairs in news. I mean, like with respect to the paper 2, that is growing of certain norms, which are like a single parent norm, growing of certain norms like single parent norm, okay, and surrogacy, which has become commercial in nature, okay, surrogacy which has become commercial in nature, or there are certain important terms which are being given, important terms like impact of changing family structure, that is single parenting I have written, changing pattern of the family structure from joint to nuclear, and socialization of the nuclear. So always remember these things, socialization of the nuclear families, how the nuclear families have developed, okay. Urbanization is very important component, like a socialization of urbanization, because last time he has asked a topic about new women, okay, new women, or reducing the patriarchal mindset, okay, role of men, killing of men, okay. So crime on men has been increasing, okay, and women in call centers, women in BPO, okay, women in those kind of jobs which are being under security threats, socialization of women being part of the service sectors. So, and what are the threats? So such kind of basic questions were asked. I mean, like it looks very basic, but it will take some time for you to recollect points and write. That's the reason paper 2 is little difficult to answer, because paper 1 you have most of the content ready and paper 2 is little difficult. That's the reason you should ensure that you should revise and you have some current affairs in your hands. So read about SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, we have directly topics, and read about MDGs. Read about what are land reforms. Read about land reforms and also read about Green Revolution. Green Revolution, negatives of the Green Revolution. So negatives of Green Revolution, which includes first important point, migration to Punjab and Haryana, okay, stratification of the farmers, like people first time could see the farmers were stratified into different layers and farmers were occupied with good wealth when compared to other farmers of non-Green Revolution area. And crops which have got diverse usage, that is mainly the rice and wheat after Green Revolution. And commercialization things have become, land has become the status, female feticide cases have increased because of the son of soil theory. All right, and most important is environmental issues are there. That's what M.N. Srinivasan, the father of Green Revolution, gave a call for second Green Revolution and evergreen revolution. So these are few important areas. And next, what is that Talcott Parson says? Talcott Parson says about the if there are any parental norms are there, or if anyone who's been given care, I mean like daycare networks are there, daycare channels are there, which will actually provide some sort of facilities to the kids, then that will bring some sort of negative impacts, okay, change in the structures. And also Imal Durkheim also said the same thing, like if there is any family and the family structure is very important, if it is getting disintegrated, then the impacts will be on the child. So that's what conflict theory. Child with unrelated care, that means unrelated care means what? This is in current affairs. Unrelated care means other than parents are taking charge of the child, then that will create some sort of issues. Okay, that is actually called as Cinderella effect or the conflict theory of the Talcott Parson. Okay, so what is Marx is said that single parent household most likely to face the poverty. This is a very good point. So Marxism, Karl Marx or Marxist we can say, like a single parent will create or will land people into poverty. Okay, so you can bring in the same concept of single parent, you can bring about the Imal Durkheim. Imal Durkheim will talk about anomie, okay, normlessness, okay, and that will also lead into we can say deviance. Deviance can also be one picture because of what you wanted to bring the child, but you may not be. So remember about Karl Marx, about single parent leading to poverty, okay, anomie, okay, and also deviance. Such kind of things you can add. Next, trad husband, TRAD, trad husband. This is one important topic in paper 2. Trad husband, which means like husband taking a very active role in domestic activities, okay, and how it is impacting the society and what changes it will bring in the mindset of the patriarchal system. This is one important questions that could be asked. Okay, grey diverse is in news, guys. Grey diverse is in news. Grey diverse means like you have traveled long for around 50 years and someone is getting divorced after 50 years. So this is referred as a grey diverse, separation after 50 years. Okay, so middle class trap is in news actually. Middle class trap is in news. So what is the concept of middle class trap? Middle class trap is how the consumption has been increasing and how the demand and desires of the middle classes have been increasing. So how is that consumption is increasing and what is the saving levels of the middle classes? Okay, write about Oxfam report which says middle classes concentration of the wealth is very, very low. Such kind of points you can bring in. Okay, next, sociology of terrorism is very important point. Marginalized groups are there, how youths are getting into this terrorism concept, how well trained people are there, how educated people are getting trapped because of the terrorism. Okay, next, cyber sociology, as I have told you, how online harassment, how women are being trapped. Okay, there are no security issues. There are no security, so that is creating some sort of issues. Even this is very important. Okay, nativist movement. Nativist movement can also be related to regionalism. Basically, you can write about Telangana movement here. People raising voice for Vidarbha region, people raising voice for Saurashtra region. People are talking about separate districts in Karnataka, Bodoland in Assam. These are the important areas where nativist movement is in picture. Okay. Next, Dalit capitalism. That means government has coming up with so many programs, schemes and subsidies which can promote the Dalit entrepreneurs. That means people from the weaker section, especially SCs and STs, could be given some sort of benefit from the government. And you can purely write about Dalita Bandhu schemes which are introduced by Telangana. So this Dalita Bandhu scheme will promote the SCs majorly. Okay, this is Dalita Bandhu scheme. Second important about SCs empowerment, land allocation scheme. land allocation scheme, where SC women will be given 3 acres of land. Okay, and also some sort of benefits under for agriculture sector or education sector, employment sector, which are being given, entrepreneurship, so that some materialistic benefit can be given, they can start promoting. Okay, next, McDonaldization, that means trying to capture the sectors of the Western. Basically, the capitalists are trying to capture our old traditional sectors. Okay, you can say that burger is been interlinking with pizza and also with our own tradition of the food. Okay, next, helicopter parenting. This is very, very important topic. Helicopter parenting. Helicopter parenting. Helicopter parenting. What is the socialization of helicopter parenting? Helicopter parenting means over involvement in the norms of the children. This is actually leading or making the people to go deviant. So you can bring a lot of sociological thinkers here. You can bring Robert K. Merton. We can bring Talcott Parson here. We can bring G.H. Mead in this concept. Okay, so deviating from your own self, symbolic interactionism. Okay, next. Work from home is very important. This is what I am expecting. Work from home, and what is the socialization impacts of work from home, because this is very important topic, which actually gave profits to most of the MNCs because of other expenditures were quite low for them. But overall, if you could see, there are some positives and benefits of this. So, socialization of being work from home. Second one, what is called as gig economy. What is called as gig economy? What is called as care economy? Okay, because they are most domestic responsibilities which are taken by men or women are not calculated. So, what impacts it will create? Okay. So, next, health related, Ayushman Bharat, digital health, mental health, etc. And rising violence against men is very important topic in sociological current affairs. So, rising violence against men. Rising violence against men is very important topic. Okay, and if you could observe, women are being missing in most important sector. Firstly, it is primary and in manufacturing. So that's the reason government is trying to come up with so many schemes to promote them in these sectors. So this is one important current affair, because most of the questions in paper 2 will be associated with current affairs. 70% is of current affairs only. Next, disasters, sociological aspects of disasters. So try to write about most important topics like Kumbh Mela. So organizing of such important events in our country. Okay, next, denotified tribes. You should also talk about denotified tribes. Talk about denotified tribes. Okay, talk about PVTGs. Okay, talk about tribal conflicts which are in use, and very, very important, like flash floods, which are quite common. And environmental impacts, Madhav Gadgil report you can take, and other topics which was in news, which is talking about the floods in Kerala. Okay, Madhav Gadgil report is very important, which was very clear, which was in news actually. So such kind of things will be asked in your exam. So make sure that you revise. Few topics which have been told, and maintain a proper format with respect to the answers. Okay, with respect to the answers, and make sure that you read the most important current affairs, which were just, I have told you few important current affairs. So read few important current affairs. Read about most important, which is tribes. Read about tribes, denotified tribes. Okay, and read about PVTGs. Okay, assimilation of tribe, socialization of assimilating the tribes into mainstream. So what negatives are there in assimilating? This is very important and challenging kind of questions to write in sociology. What negative? You have to think a lot to write about the negative impacts on them. All right. So this is about the paper 1 and most important current affairs in the paper 2. So read what is there in your hands. Don't go for extra activities or extra understanding or extra efforts to get something new and to add something in what you have already done in your preparation. Second, very important, make a small short notes for paper 2 current affairs, at least the title or the heading which can help you. And every topic needs to be tagged with the current affairs. Every topic will be tagged, should be the current affairs, and every topic should be tagged with reports. Every topic should be tagged with data, and also every topic has to be tagged with like the sociological thinkers, Western and Indian thinkers. Always remember to write critics, okay? And wherever necessary, try to quote books. Wherever necessary, write themes, okay? And in case if you wanted to add current affairs, so if there is no such kind of a provision to write current affairs only in paper 2, so you can add in paper 1 as well as paper 2. So wherever you feel, then you can always add such kind of current affairs to bring right from chapter 1 to last chapter. All right. So I wish you a very good luck from my side and also from our AKS institution. And I wish that you get a very good score in sociology. Okay. And all the best for your optional exam. Thank you so much.